Hello and welcome. This is the I Talk to Ghosts podcast, and I'm your spirited host, Jennifer, a professional medium and a teller of ghost stories. And tonight I have both aspects of spooky and spiritual to share with you. First, I'm going to tell you a few paranormal stories that involve portals. Then I'll share some spirited spirit work with you with my medium work. I love demonstrating these metaphysical connections with you because, well, I started this podcast because of my love for the unexplained. And when I can share something unexplainable with you, we break down the notion of a small, cold world into something grander, bigger than us, and magical and beyond materialism. And whether the unexplainable is spooky or more on the spiritual side, I am here for it, and I'm glad you are too. Thank you for spending some time with me. Oh, also, if you haven't found it yet, I've started posting new content on Tuesdays. Anywhere you find I Talk to Ghosts, wherever you are listening or watching me right now, you can join me for more spooky and spiritual musings. So again, wherever you listen or watch to this podcast, look for the Spirit Parlor in the exact same place for metaphysical musings. Okay, back to tonight's episode. Are you ready for some spooky? I'm pretty sure a portal is opening somewhere right now. When my son was younger, he claimed that he would see a lot of different beings. He no longer does, thankfully. We had a pastor come and bless our house, and my son never knew the pastor had come to do this because he came when my son was at school, and we never mentioned it to him. During those few years before the blessing, we would always have something be missing. Sometimes reappearing when we would leave and come home, but other things just never were found. It was so bad that it came to the point where my husband and I would blame each other and argue about it. One day, we decided to store some things in the spare bedroom closet. Because no one used that room, that closet was mainly empty. When I went to look in, bam. All the missing things were right there. I asked the whole family. Everyone was just as shocked as I was. And really, it was impossible for the kids to open that closet anyway because this closet had heavy sliding doors. Of course, things continued to go missing. And one day I thought to myself, it can't be in the closet, can it? I hesitated to open it, fearing it might actually be in there. But I opened the closet doors anyway, and there it was. More missing items, sending chills up my spine. After that, every time something went missing, and we can't find it, we would go to that closet, and there it was, the missing item. I just never understood this. One of our friends mentioned it might be some sort of portal, but I can't wrap my brain around that. This year, I had the opportunity with a good friend of mine to tour historic homes and landmarks in my hometown. I had been hoping to go for years. It was quite a treat, as many people were willing to open their homes to the curious and interested, and there were a few exceptionally old locations belonging to the town museum that would only be open for tours this one day a year. I'm an empath, and this is something I've had a hard time accepting. I feel the presence of spirits, often their moods, emotions, and occasionally a message. More rarely, I receive an impression of gender, their lifestyle, and age. These encounters affect me physically, and because of that, I often hesitate to join in on these tours, as interesting as they are. There was one particular home just a few hundred yards from the main streets on a little residential road out of sight. As with most, it was small, with additions that had been added over the years to accommodate a more affluent lifestyle. I felt a real sense of concern as my friend and I came up to the house with the others on the tour. The front door felt almost hot, the way a campfire gives off an uncomfortable heat as you get closer to it. At the same time, I felt an unpleasant but strong pull that gripped me right at the center of my chest and steadily pulled my attention and direction towards it. I don't know what I expected to experience when I crossed the threshold. Maybe I thought it would ease up, or that there would be a spirit there that would manifest. I don't know, but whatever I expected, that wasn't it. Inside the house, it was like every door, every archway into a hall, every window had that same pull as the front door. It made me so nauseous. I didn't want to stay, but my friend didn't know I was sensitive to spirits. So rather than risk her disbelief and possible mockery, I tried to tough it out. The only spirit I actually felt, and felt clearly, was a young boy who was sitting on the stairs immediately inside the front door. The stairs had a rope across the bottom, so that the tour members would know the upstairs wasn't part of the public area. He was seated about 6 steps up, holding one of the stair railings. The little boy seemed to be about 10 or 11, with kind of messy brown hair. Once past the front area, things got even more uncomfortable. I wanted to focus in on individual spirits, but the swirling pull of all the doors and windows was just too much to get anything. Instead, it just felt like every door was trying to pull energy in, push it out, or send it spinning. I've never been in proximity to major spirit portals. I try to avoid those places because I guess it would make me motion sick. This was a guess since I react physically to spirit energy anyway, and in this case, I was right. I caught my breath out in the backyard, but I had to come back through the house to exit. I think I would have lost it if I had to stay in there the whole time without the small break in the yard. I'm not sure what charged that house, if it was that way for years, or if it came to be this way because of the renovations or through people meddling with spirit energy, but this was clearly portal activity. My friend still doesn't know, even though she was plenty curious as to why I almost got sick all over those people's expensive floors. My whole life, I've had a sixth sense. I've felt many presences, known when someone was going to call, and have felt someone touch me and even pull my hair. I have felt many cold spots, and I've seen shadows and lights. But this story I want to tell you was about a spirit portal. In my living room, I have felt many presences come and go, and if I sense one spirit, after a few days, it's gone. I feel like there might be a spirit portal in my living room. In one spot, it's very cold, and you can feel something. You feel as if you're not alone. In that particular spot, I sense things standing there, watching me. I've tried to communicate, and I always end up with nothing. I'm possibly going about it wrong, but I would like to communicate with them. My family can sometimes feel that something is off, but they don't know how to describe it. One curious thing, if you stand outside the house near where the living room is, it sounds like people are having a loud conversation inside. The TV will be off, and there'll be loud noises and voices coming from inside the living room. I don't know much about the land, and I have to admit I don't know much about spirit portals. I don't think any of these possible spirits are malicious, but I still want to know what is going on. Are you enjoying the podcast? Please leave a kind review or share it with a friend. These small actions take only a few moments, but they immensely help support the podcast. Thank you for supporting my work and the podcast. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. My guest this evening is Jessica. Jessica, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Well, thank you for meeting with me tonight. I understand you're a new listener and found out about me at the Oregon Ghost Conference and started listening and submitted a reading submission. And here we are right away. I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
So let me see. First things coming in for me is, maybe I should start in order. There is a man coming in who his personality was kind and warm. He says he was really handsome when he was younger and quite the flirt, and the ladies loved him. He's saying that right away. And he does admit that he did care what people thought of him. And he really tried hard to not only keep up with appearances, but it mattered to him what people thought of him. And he's just expressing this all in this bundle of emotion as he goes. There seemed to be a little bit of a worry there about money. With everything that I'm saying so far, let me just check in with you. Can you connect this person?
It could be two. It could be my uncle, my Scott, or my grandpa.
Yes. Okay. I know you wanted to talk about your uncle, but this really does feel like there's some grandpa energy coming in as well. With your grandpa, I see him eating like little things and feels like it's a snack, and it's a little bit of you gotta work it a little bit, like there's a shell or something or a wrapper or something, especially while he was thinking. It seemed to be like a thinking activity with him.
I mean, it could say peanuts. I know that he definitely chewed a gum all the time. I think it was like the double mint gum,
And I'm like, this doesn't feel like the uncle. This feels like someone older. But they had similar personalities, it sounded like, because you're like, the going on. Okay.
Good.
Let me just collect my thoughts a little bit and try and separate these guys out. Because it's not surprising. Lots of times people will come in together. Well, both of them, they seem to have a little bit of drive and personality to them. Like they're passionate about things. It feels like one of them was fueled by that, I gotta make money, or I don't want to worry about this. I want to feel secure. Grandfather, he has a nice laugh.
Yes, yes, he did.
And he seems brighter, as just a little bit more jovial, a little bit more carefree than Uncle. Nothing against Uncle over here, who we are also going to get to. With your grandfather, random detail. Do you know if he liked to eat?
Yes, he liked. I know. Oh, it rings a bell. He did like to snack all the time. Yes.
I see him eating in a living room chair, like not at the kitchen table. I see him eating like in the living room while watching TV or listening to the radio, something like that. To the point where I wouldn't be surprised if he had a napkin on his lap or something and was eating a full meal in his chair where he was comfortable.
Yes, he would always eat in his chair. Him and my grandma had their own chairs.
Oh, in the living room?
In the living room, yes.
How sweet. That is that is just classic. Yeah, because I'm like, show me a slice of your life. Show me a couple of things going on. And he's like, well, there's this chair, and it was really comfortable. And I do see him kind of putting his napkin on his lap because he didn't want to make a mess or anything. And yeah, but if given the choice, I think he'd rather eat in the living room than in the kitchen, which is a little rare. Did your grandfather like Frank Sinatra?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Because I wrote down Frank Sinatra, and then I wrote down Blue Eyes, which I think was Sinatra's, one of Sinatra's nicknames.
I'm trying to think. They always had a little small radio they'd always play oldies on.
Did your grandfather whistle in the house?
All the time.
Because I was hearing him whistling.
Oh, that just gave me chills.
So yeah, like I said, I know you wanted to connect with your uncle, but I'm like, this feels like a grandfather coming in. And I think that he's like, given the opportunity, families just loves to flood in and say hi and say that you're still connected. He's just bringing in that warmth of family memories and how important it is. Just a lot of warmth and emotion there. Now, your grandmother that you wanted to connect with.
Mm-hmm. Grandma on the other side, my mom's side.
She's also bringing in a lot of warmth and nurturing feelings and a lot of comfort home vibes as well. Mm-hmm. It feels like a little shyness, or with those outside the family, I think she was a little hard to get to know. Does that make sense? Was she a little private?
I'd say a little bit. Yeah, I think her personal, she didn't pass on her personal life to, just anybody, close.
Yeah. There's that sense of privacy and reluctance to share a little bit. It's just like, it would be the type of person where, you're a little hard to read, or you're just a little hard to get to know, probably because she had a little bit of shyness or something going on within her. And I wouldn't say that she's necessarily still that way in the spirit world, but if people don't present themselves the way you knew them, how they would be described, it's like, how would you know them? How would you know them? Did your grandmother help out with some of your school stuff?
Yes, they did. Well, for my kids, they did a few years back. They did help out their school supplies and stuff. Yes.
Yeah, because she was bringing that up right away. Mm-hmm. And she could pour her emotion and energy into that. It's almost like it broke that barrier of reservedness with her, through your children, where it's like, oh, just loves them so much. And that overrode everything. And she brought up the school stuff because normally if it was something else, like some kind of other gathering, like a luncheon or a function or something where she would have to go by herself, she would have been more, can I just stay home? Or I'm just not sure. You mean I have to talk to new people? You know what I mean? But when it comes to the kids, she's like, oh, I'm here for them. And she's bringing through this sense of giving and fairness and making sure that everyone gets what they need. And I think that sometimes she forgot that she was in that equation a little bit too, because she was so giving. She didn't ask herself as much, like, what you need here. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yes.
Yeah. Maybe it's with your kids. Was she always slipping them like $1 or something like that, like giving them a little money?
Oh, she'd always give them money. Yes. Yes.
And did you kind of tell her, like, stop, don't do that? You can't afford this or something like that.
Oh my, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yes. I would tell her that. Absolutely.
Yeah. She's bringing in with that. Like, when I ask her about, okay, past the shyness and past the practical reservedness of her, with family. How are you like? And she's like, well, I really care about everyone's portion in life, and making sure it's fair and everyone gets what they need. And it just felt like this sense of fairness with her. And then the other part was, yeah, I used to give money to the kids. I used to try and like sneak it, and then I would be told, oh, don't do that. You can't afford that. You don't have, but she's like, no, this is what it's for. This is what it's for.
Oh yeah, she always made sure. I mean, around their birthdays, she would always make sure, even if she couldn't really afford it, she would give them money.
Yeah. What a sweetheart. What a
Yes.
sweetheart. She's also bringing up that there were some things she wanted to avoid talking about anything unpleasant. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes.
She's like, oh, I don't want to talk about that right now. Like, kind of dismissive, but it feels like she just could not plug into that.
I mean, she'd always, if there's something she didn't want to talk about, she'd always switch the subject, worry about everybody else, and
Yeah.
so always put everybody first.
Yeah. She is encouraging you to believe in your potential for things. She is admitting that she had some worry in life that maybe held her back a little. And with her perspective now, it's kind of like, oh, you should run around and explore any wild idea that comes in your head, because you just never know. And it could really be a good financial boon too. We when money is involved, a lot of times we think of the risk and we immediately say no, before we even start really exploring anything. And it just feels like she's like, oh, new ideas, potential in things, being enthusiastic. Those things are just important. If there's something that is worrying you, especially if it's affecting your sleep, make sure you support yourself through that and address how to fix it for yourself, or how to support yourself through it, realizing, is this all in my head? Is this a story that's keeping me awake? Or is this something that is urgent, rock solid right now? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yes.
Okay. Now, I know your uncle is around too. Grandpa really, really came in strong there. Let me see. With your uncle, did he have a bit of a big personality presence about him? That's the first thing that's coming through with him.
He did. Yes, he did.
Okay. What would he consider himself, like a macho guy? Like, why am I thinking of that?
I can see that.
He seems very charming and funny as well. He has a knack for connecting with people, where he was good at reading people and connecting with them, and just meshing that way. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. Before he passed, he was working. He just started a new job, like a Caribbean cruise. What he was doing before, I'm not exactly sure. I want to say like motor coaches, motor homes, working at that, selling motor homes, I guess would be.
Mm-hmm. With the cruise, working on a cruise, you would certainly have to be able to navigate people and keep them entertained, and be able to connect with their personalities and be charming. Yeah, he seems like a very charming man. I feel in a way he doesn't want to talk about his job because he doesn't feel like he was as successful as he wanted to be.
Oh, yes.
He truly believed that connecting with the right people made you better, and it made them better, and that relationships were really important. And he was always looking for that camaraderie. I don't think he wanted to do it alone. I think he was looking for his people and the right opportunity where everyone could come together and do something great together. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yes. I see the last couple years of his life, he went through a lot.
Your aunt is still alive.
Yeah, she is.
He would like to pass along that if she has any worry or heartbreak about the timing of things, he wants her to know that he completely understands and it's okay. It's okay that things weren't perfect, and he never, never, never wants her to blame herself for that.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Mm.
Were they together a long time?
Yeah, they were yeah, a long, long time.
Because he's like, we were so passionate.
Yeah.
He's like, we were so passionate when we were younger. And, yeah, he just adores her. He just adores her. It feels like that young love type of feeling, you know.
They got together, I think, yeah, she was still in high school, and I believe he just graduated. So long, up until about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
He says that's how he would like her to remember him, not the difficulty at the end. Especially when things are situational, it's hard to remember that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it's not us, it's this against us. Yeah. Your uncle sees you as this future matriarch of the family. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Mm-hmm.
And he wants to give you compliments for that and encouragement of that. And he thinks that there's no one better suited for that. So he kind of just wants to give you that nod and that love and encouragement going forward. Yeah. I do have some messages that I wrote down for you from the collective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everyone really, this is hard to articulate. Everyone really admires your energy and how you're able to maintain this youthfulness in your energy. Are you aware of this in yourself?
Yeah, I try to keep myself young. Yes.
Well, they're like, so they admire your youthfulness and your energy. They want to encourage you to be fierce with life and with love. Just like, go get 'em, tiger. And they emphasize new beginnings, some growth and rebirth, and just newness and freshness, kind of starting over if you need to, and keeping that youthfulness alive by doing those resets, those intentional resets when you need to be like, okay, I'm going to start a new chapter. I'm going to heal as I go, or I'm going to learn as I go, but I'm going to reset and restart. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me tonight. I know you wanted to connect with your grandmother and your uncle. It's wonderful when someone else pops in,
Yeah.
because then it's like magical every time when it's like special guest star. So thank you for that so much. It's just so great talking to you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, before we go, do you have a personal ghost story that you would like to share?
I do.
Listener ghost story.
This is about 19 years ago. My family and I were on our way over to the coast. We stopped at this rest stop. It's kind of a creepy story, actually.
Ooh.
Rest stop there, and I went in to use the restroom, and my mom and my oldest daughter were sitting in the car. They saw this lady. She started walking toward the car. My mom explained her as blonde. She had like glossed over eyes. Well, right, freaky. As I
Yeah.
walked out of the restroom, the lady turned right back around, from the car, and I was standing on the sidewalk there, and like the lady was right next to me. I didn't see her, and so after that, I got in the car, and my mom said, "Did you see that lady?" I said, "No, what lady?" And that rest stop specific. I know my youngest daughter's dad's had experience seeing the same woman. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh my goodness. How close was she to the car?
almost to the passenger. Well, almost to the window itself, the passenger window. And I walked to the restroom, and she turned right back around and started taking in the garbage. But I did not see her, but my mom, she's sensitive to that. So, but
Uh-huh.
she, yeah.
Oh, strange. But you didn't see her at all. And when you got in the car, was she there? Was she gone? Or were you talking about it after the fact, after you
We're
drove
talking
away?
about it after the fact.
Okay. Okay. Ooh. Yeah.
Yes.
Like haunted rest areas. Did you ever go to that rest stop again, or was that it?
Yeah, that restaurant to the coast there, and never experienced it again.
Oh, that's really chilling.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, well, thanks again for meeting with me and sharing all of this with your family. And I want to leave you with their love because you're clearly, clearly still connected with them. And it's just wonderful to share that with you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you doing this for me.
Absolutely. Would you like a free spirit reading with me and record your reading for the podcast? Sign up for your chance to be selected by visiting italktoghosts.com/guest. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed the spirit work that I shared with you this evening, as well as those tales of paranormal portals. Have you ever experienced some sort of portal phenomenon? I would love to hear about it, so please reach out. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.